Steve O'Neill here with the VITA program, and welcome to this quick training on being a greeter with us in the VITA 2020 tax season. Thank you for watching this, and thank you for volunteering with us. Looking forward to a good year. The purpose of this video is to, for some of you it'll be a refresher, for some of you it may be new. Make sure that you are up to speed on VITA and what we're about, and the best practices for being a greeter at a VITA site. And this will also give you the information that you need to take and pass the Volunteer Standards of Conduct exam, which is required before your first day as a greeter. So let's get right into it. First of all, I want to share with you our mission and vision at VITA. Our mission is that we're committed to providing free and high quality tax preparation to individuals and families making $62,000 or less, and helping them save and reduce the anxiety of tax time. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we're not just free, not just a good option because we're free, but we're a good option because we provide high quality service. And our vision is to change the paradigm of tax time to one of hope by replacing the typical frustration of tax time with opportunities to take advantage of tax refunds and invest in the future. And one of the ways in which we're beginning to do that is by partnering with organizations like Fulton Bank, who can help clients take better advantage of their tax refund. Tax time, it can be such a powerful moment in their lives because they often receive a pretty nice chunk of money as a tax refund, and that's money that they don't usually have to do things that a lot of us take for granted, like putting it into a savings account. So one of the exciting things for us this year is that we've moved into a new headquarters at 1380 Harrisburg Pike, which we're calling VITA Central, and we're thrilled that Fulton Bank is sponsoring this location. This location is replacing our site that we've had the last couple years at Janet Avenue. So this will be the main site that Fulton volunteers will volunteers as greeters at. So we're excited for that. The other site where some Fulton bankers may go is to Elizabethtown Community Place on Washington, which is at 61 East Washington Street in Elizabethtown. So talking about the VITA site flow and giving you a heads up on what to expect when you show up to a site as a greeter. First and foremost, as a greeter, one of your roles is to communicate with the site coordinator. So at VITA Central, that's going to be Jeff Smethers. At Elizabethtown, that's either going to be Ezra or Rose Rothman. And so you're communicating with them, letting them know what the status of the waiting room is, which client is next, what's going on in the waiting room, what to expect, facilitating the flow of the VITA site. When you are with clients in the waiting room, that's a great opportunity if you want to talk to them, let them know that you're from Fulton Bank, and talk with them about any banking opportunities, or even the possibility of opening a bank account with Fulton on site. So when the client arrives, they're completing the intake process with you, which we'll go over in a minute. Then they're going to get into their tax prep, which usually lasts about an hour, which is followed by a quality review by a second volunteer to make sure that the tax return is done correctly. And then the client is signing their paperwork and hopefully leaving within that hour. You will probably you're going to encounter kind of three types of people. The first are regularly scheduled clients. The second would be a client who has been there before and needs to come back to finish their return, who may come by without an appointment. And we'll talk about how to get them into the schedule. And then the third type is simply a walk-in who has not been there before and just walks in the door and wants to have their taxes done. And we should be able to serve all three types of clients. So your first job when a client shows up is to check them in on the daily appointment schedule. This is an example of a printout of a daily appointment schedule, which will list the client's names and their appointment date and start time. So What we recommend doing is that as clients arrive, checking them in and keeping track of who arrives first, who arrives second, who arrives third, so that we can kind of serve them in order of appearance. So if Yolanda arrives first, you put a little 1 next to her name so that you can keep track of what the order is. So then as the clients get back to a preparer, it's good to mark which volunteer is serving them. So here under appointment notes or in any blank column, you can keep track of which volunteer is working with them. So if Steve was working with Yolanda, you just put Steve in that column there so that the site coordinator knows who, which volunteer is serving which client. The other thing you can do in that column is keep track of no-shows. We get a fair amount of no-shows, so Matthew, say he no-shows, we can just keep track of that with a no-show there. If you get clients walking in, either to finish a return or as a walk-in, you can keep track of them in some blank space. So if you get somebody in this kind of 5 o'clock appointment slot who shows up as a walk-in, you can let them know that we will do our best to serve them, write their name down, write the order in which they arrive down, and then just communicate with the site coordinator that we have a walk-in or we have somebody who's back to finish the return, maybe if they forgot a form or something. So that's step 1 in the process, keeping track of the appointment schedule. Step 2, after you've done that, you can talk to them a little bit and make sure that ask them if they have all of their tax forms, ask them if they have photo ID for the taxpayer and the spouse, and then do they have Social Security cards for everybody who's going to be on the return, so that would be dependents as well. The Social Security card is preferred, but we will also accept the Social Security tax form is fine, and then also anything from Social Security that has their name and at least the last 4 digits of their Social Security number would be fine. You don't need to do anything with any of these things. It's just good to make sure that they have it, and even maybe helping them if they come in with a pile of stuff. We can help them maybe organize their tax forms a little bit so it's a little bit easier when they sit down with a volunteer to get started. After that, there are 3 forms that they're going to need to fill out. The first is our intake sheet. And actually, this is going to be yellow this year. This is an old version. So you'll have a yellow intake sheet, and the client will generally fill this out themselves. If you want, you can help them do it, but no worries if they can't answer everything. The tax preparer will go through it with them. And we suggest saying something like, please fill out our intake form. You just need to do pages 1 and 2, and then you can leave the 3rd and 4th page blank. Second piece of paper that they'll need to fill out is a short survey. It's a little bit shorter this year. You can ask them, please fill out this anonymous survey as best you can. It helps us make improvements in the VITA program. It is optional, so don't worry if they don't want to do it or if they just don't do it. But as best you can, please get people filling out this survey. It really does help us. And then the third thing that they'll fill out is this savings initiative intake form. Again, it's optional, but what we're doing with this initiative is that because tax time is such a great time in their financial lives, they're getting a nice chunk of money. It's a great time to start saving some of their refund. Because that savings can create an opportunity down the road for them, and that's kind of what we're after with VITA, is to turn tax time into opportunity. So what we're doing is if a client saves at least $50 of their tax refund and splits their tax refund into 2 chunks, puts some in a savings account and some into a checking account, and they put at least $50 into their savings account, they will receive a piggy bank for doing that, and then they'll be entered to win several prizes. There's a weekly $100 cash prize, there's a weekly $25 gift card prize, and then a grand prize of an iPad. And so they can split their refund on the tax return. We can take care of that. This form that you're going to be asking them to fill out is kind of a nudge in that direction, getting them starting to think about savings, and then it asks them on that form to write down their savings account and checking account routing number and account number. So what you can say to them is, here's some information about a savings program we do at VITA. Please fill this out with your bank information. Excuse me. A new initiative that we'll be piloting at the VITA Central location is another savings initiative targeted at a cap of 50 single mothers who will qualify for their earned income credit. What we're going to do there is we're hoping that if these people that we identify as single mothers who qualify for the earned income credit, if they open a savings account with Fulton Bank on site, and they direct either $500 or 10% of their tax refund into that new account through the tax refund to the tax return, we are going to incentivize that by adding an additional $50 to that account. Then if they proceed to meet with a financial counselor at Tabor and attend a financial education workshop and keep the money in the account for 6 months, we're going to incent that again with another $50 reward at the end of 6 months. So this is a new pilot program that we're going to launch this year at VITA Central, and more details to follow on the logistics of how we'll do that at the site and how we will identify those people. Okay, so that's a rundown of your job as a greeter. For those of you who have done this before, not many changes besides location. If this is your first time, don't worry if it seems a little vague or overwhelming. When you get there, we will show you the ropes and help you out. And generally, it's a fun, laid-back time. So the next piece of this is to give you the information that you will need to take and pass the Volunteer Standards of Conduct exam. There is a link up at the top of the page here, and that link, I think it's also in the email that I sent, will take you, let me see if I can find it. That link will take you here to VITA Central. And if it's your first time, you can create an account here. If you're returning and you already have an account, you can log right into that account. I'm going to log into mine. Once you get into your account, the first test here is the only thing that you need to do, the 2019 Volunteer Standards of Conduct exam. If you click on that, you'll be able to launch that exam. Once you take that and pass that, you're going to click this little box in the top right corner to sign your volunteer agreement electronically, and then you're going to click this box, this link here, to open your Standards of Conduct agreement. And when you do that, a PDF will open, and that is what you're going to need to print and bring along with you to your first day of greeting at a VITA site. So back to, here's what you're going to need to know. The following 10 bullet points should provide you with the information that you need to take the 10-question exam. So first of all, everyone who volunteers for VITA needs to pass the Volunteer Standards of Conduct test and must sign Form 13615, the Volunteer Standards of Conduct Agreement. So again, you will need to know that information will help you answer the first question of the test. Secondly, volunteers who violate the Volunteer Standards of Conduct can be removed, listed on the IRS registry, and the sponsoring organization can be terminated. Again, that'll help you answer question number 2. Question 3, VITA sites, volunteers, and staff cannot accept tips. We can't have tip jars. If they want to donate, they can contact United Way separately, but we can't have anything to do, nor can we encourage tips or money changing hands. Fourth, VITA volunteers cannot use their own bank account to get a tax refund for a client. taxpayers will need to have their own account for direct deposit. Fifth, VITA volunteers cannot use the tax preparation process and the information garnered in the process to benefit themselves for personal gain. 6, if a volunteer omits something intentionally, it is a violation of the standards of conduct. If a volunteer just misses something in good faith, it is not a violation. There is an external process to report volunteers who do not meet or break the standards of conduct to the IRS spec office by sending an email to the email address listed there. 8, the intake form must be completed before tax prep. The tax preparer must interview the client. The client needs to participate in the quality review of their tax return. 9th, taxpayer and spouse must have photo ID, and everyone on the return has to have proof of Social Security number. And lastly, if the client has an advanced tax return, then a volunteer with an advanced certification needs to do the return and do the quality review. So again, those 10 bullet points will help you answer the standards of conduct exam here. So if you have this page open, while you have those bullet points open, you should be able to pass that exam no problem. Then just sign it electronically, open up the PDF, print it out, and bring it with you. Hopefully that will help get you started on the road to being a VITA volunteer greeter with us in 2020. And if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. And thank you. We really look forward to working with you.